Great.
Good morning,
Nice.
good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for joining our webinar today. How a world-leading company in secure communications use Scrum to restore its competitive advantage. My name is Eric Neighborg, and I run marketing and operations here at Scrum.org, and I'm joined by two of our professional Scrum trainers, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute, Fabio and Gunther, and they're going to take you through a story and how they help this organization really improve. There's a great case study on this topic that they wrote that can help as well. Fabio and Gunther, thank you for joining today. If we can just jump to the next slide real quick.
Yep.
Oh, go one more. Thank you. So your microphones will be muted throughout, but please ask questions. You'll see at the bottom of the screen a little Q&A button. Just click on that, ask your questions. We'll be taking those questions and we'll continue to answer them throughout. And certainly the ones we don't get to, we'll answer after the fact. So we'll try to answer as many as we can throughout, and then via email at the end. This will be recorded, and the recording will be available up on the Scrum.org website within the next 24 hours. Next slide. So briefly, who is Scrum.org? For those of you new to this series, Scrum.org was founded by our chairman, Ken Schwaber. Ken Schwaber, co-creator of Scrum, and continues to drive and lead the organization. We're a mission-based organization focused on helping people and teams solve complex problems. And we do that through thought leadership, things like this webinar, the Scrum Guide that Ken continues to evolve, and lots of other content. Training, both of the gentlemen joining me today are professional Scrum trainers, and they provide consistent training around the world to help people learn Scrum and improve how they work. Certification to validate your knowledge, and then ongoing learning and lots of learning paths, content, forums, blogs, and other things. As professionals, we're always learning and always evolving that learning. And as part of that mission, that thought leadership and the ongoing learning like this webinar are always available for free. Next slide. So with that, I will let Fabio and Gunther introduce themselves, as they can do a much better job than I can, and enjoy today's webinar.
Excellent. Thanks, Eric. I'm very excited to be here. Thanks to all the friends of Scrum that are connected. Yeah, very quickly, I'm a professional Scrum trainer and Scrum practitioner. I'm working since 2001 in many different kind of projects and products, and yeah, since 2018 I am working with the Scrum.org, delivering the trainings and helping companies and people solve complex problems. Gunther.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Fabio, and thank you, Eric, and for the nice introduction, and thank you, Scrum.org, for setting this up and allowing us, or mostly Fabio, to share, I think, what is a beautiful story. So my name is Gunther Verheyen. I live and I work in Antwerp in Belgium. Been a PhD for a while, done lots of things, been doing this thing called Scrum, whatever, since 2003. It's amazing how time flies. It means I'm still having fun with Scrum, so that's really cool. So thank you very much, Fabio, for having me here. Looking forward to support you, like sort of the support I think I've tried to give you in the case and in describing the case. So yeah, cool. Thank you all for being here. Almost at 100 people from probably around the world interested in a story about Scrum. Beautiful.
Yeah, excellent. So thanks, Gunther, for supporting me as you did all over the journey that we did with the client. I think as a nice introduction is the fact that when I met this client first, I understood that the problem that they were facing was something that we could have tried to solve with what I read from you. So I read your books, I read your articles, I had a look to your videos. So it's like something kind of natural for me to ask for some help, sometimes for some guidance, and then yeah, all the story that we are telling is about using Scrum to help the company and the people solve complex problems. So, but what was the problem of the company? What was the company? What is the company? It's still existing. So this is a company that 20 years ago, more or less, invented all the technology, so hardware and software, to be able to communicate securely over the network. So they have, it's like a telephone operator, you know, with all the physical infrastructure to be able to communicate. So hardware, software, telephones for policemen, military, firefighters, and also for the events that you can have like concerts or this type. Everything needs security. The issue they were facing is that for 20 years they were able to use these products, they were able to satisfy their clients, and things were quite stable, no big changes. And then they started to have some new competitors in this domain, in this business.
And just for people's background, Fabio, it was a large multinational company too. Headquarters in France, but all over the world, and then working with very specific customers, like you say, ministries and so on. Very specific, but a large multinational company, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And thanks, Gunther. Yeah, exactly. And so they started to face the problem that they need to innovate, to do something new. Very basic stuff like switching from normal walkie-talkies to smartphones, okay? Because they can have more functionalities on the smartphone. For example, for the firefighters, they can know where their colleagues are on a Google Maps, but they need to secure all this. So all new things. And the issue is that in the past 20 years, they were optimized. Their work was optimized to deliver. They were not anymore used to create new products, new innovative products. So basically, this is the company, and this was the challenges that they were having. So trying to produce new innovative products. And improving the quality, being faster in creating these innovative products because startups are quite faster than them, increasing customer satisfaction, and also being able to attract talents and to keep talents in the company. So these were the main struggles.
And sort of all because for several years they were sort of like very used to their position. They were dominant and so on, and then they missed out on important technological evolutions. They were still making a lot of money from the solutions, so they were sort of losing sight of innovative stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they knew that they had like 10 years ahead to change. And to learn how to navigate, in a complex and moving market, which wasn't the case before. So I started the assignment with a few weeks of observations. And then we had some calls together, and I said, "Hey, Gunther, I need really to onboard the executive, the management, because they are open to that. And the best way of trying it is to use what you are saying. So what you are saying, it's very, I like it very much because it has a lot of sense. It is very simple to understand, and is these are just guidelines. So it's very, very strong. So
the core idea in a way was large multinational company. Remember, all those people and teams and even a lot of conservative forces within the company saying, yeah, we don't need this because we're still making a lot of revenues and so on. And the idea was to make it sort of manageable again. And in that sense, make it small rather than what a lot of people think they should do, make it big. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember us meeting the CXO, the international CXO team. Yeah.
Yeah. So we organized the company organized a workshop that you were leading. We met with, I don't know, 12 or 14 people from all over the world.
And that was amazing because that was literally from all over the world.
Yeah.
Every continent was represented. A lot of countries from Mexico to Finland to Asia to quite amazing. Yeah.
And so we introduced what I read from you and what I really wanted to do. And this was really something very new for them also, because they asked me, okay, Fabio, we need to train 3,000 people to Scrum. And I said, maybe that's not the best solution. Let's think about it. So we tried to we communicated this this approach of reimagining your Scrum, which is selecting one meaningful initiative. And the note that I take is just having a greenfield project or product, or even something that has already started, but selecting one meaningful initiative, and then use. It may seem very obvious, but use one product backlog as a single plan, which wasn't the case because we are going to see later. I'm not spoiling the rest. Then establish an ecosystem with end-to-end accountabilities, which is another powerful phrase. And something very nice, I didn't put the picture, but this is something very nice from you, Gunther. Create sashimi releases. I don't know how many people here like sashimi, but very tasty, very valuable piece of product. And then once you have removed all the impediments that get in the way of the first experiment, you took another initiative, and while in the same time improving the existing one.
Yeah. So in a way, move from a sort of mass production industrial approach to large, whatever agile transformation, with everybody having to do the same stuff, training, like you said, 3,000 people across the world. Rather pick something meaningful, something that brings value, and let's focus on that. And the background ideas, and I think you discovered that one, and I'm not going to create any spoiler alerts here, but you will run into a number of problems, enough problems for one initiative already. Imagine running into those problems for 3,000 people over a short span of time. Sort of the idea, sort of in a way, introduce an iterative incremental way, sort of use Scrum in a way to adopt Scrum.
Yeah. And I think this is genius, because it's really Scrum, and you have transparency because you see what's going on the initiative, and then you inspect and adapt. So you apply an empirical process to make your transformation, which is a never-ending story. So I would say it's an empirical way of transforming your company, which is very powerful.
Yeah, and a little bit in this case, Fabio, this is sometimes where a bit of sort of, can I say that, sort of organizational fear actually helps, because there was obviously a sort of a sense of fear of trying to do too much and disrupting too many things, and I think that's a sort of healthy fear even. Because you can't, like you say in the sidebox, you can't just overnight or over the weekend turn around a company that has 20 years of products, sort of traditional products built in a traditional way. You can't just overnight change that without ending up in chaos, actually.
Exactly. So So you have a lot of advantages in doing this. As you said, you limit your risk, basically. That's what you're saying. You limit your risk to one and only one little initiative. And then you start changing also your culture, your company culture, in an iterative and incremental way. Okay, so I hope you don't hear my dog playing. He's playing just close to me. Okay, let's move forward. And then now what we are going to see is it's every point, the 5 points. Just we comment the story, and then we will keep the questions maybe that arise.
But just Fabio, to help you to give people listening or looking at this, to give them an idea of what this means in a large organization. I remember us doing together that workshop for the international CXO team, and by the end we introduced the idea thinking. It was really highly interactive, so really great, and we gave them the challenge to look for that meaningful initiative. And then people like us think, yeah, that's a simple challenge, right? Look around and so on. And that still took them, like, I remember 2 or 3 months in the end. So that's sort of the slowness that you're facing working with these organizations. So you have to be impatiently patient, because in such an organization, those things sometimes just take time. But anyhow, they found a great initiative, right?
Yeah, so they found a meaningful initiative. It was something that it was something ongoing, already using a Scrum. And because I wrote it here, the focal point of Scrum is a product. So we helped the company to refocus around this product. So the product that they were developing was software for communicating over the air with smartphones, and already using a Scrum, but using Scrum in let's say mechanical way, just like as a methodology, let's say, which is not. Scrum is a framework. But very often, I don't know if it happens to you, but we meet organizations that they say, oh, yes, we are using Scrum, but they are so used to waterfall, and they have this kind of mindset, and they apply just a Scrum as it is, without understanding the values, the principle, the behaviors that goes with the Scrum.
So they in a way, I think we've seen a lot, right? They follow the process. Mm-hmm. And sort of that's about it. It misses a little bit of depth and the understanding of the sort of the purpose of the why of those things, the idea of inspecting so that you can adapt to just in a way following the process, which is certainly looks like Scrum from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how and when we can help, just to go beyond the process. And then, so what a product was selected. I have to say that when you will read the case study, you will see I wrote some retrospectives in the case study. The way the product was selected was quite stressful for the people that were selected, because it was a management decision. I would have liked to have more implication and more, sharing of the initiative with the people in the company, and then asking for a team of volunteers to experiment Scrum. So it didn't happen. Yeah, but it's okay. We had a product to experiment with Scrum, and then we started to coach, to train the company to understand what is Scrum, and how to use it to deliver complex products. Okay. So what we suggested is to focus on the Scrum team, and then understand and train all the people, all the stakeholders of the Scrum team. so that they could understand what does it mean to have a professional Scrum and to to do professional Scrum. So we train people from
So rather than training the full organization, everybody trained everybody that was involved in that one initiative, that one product that you got, not just the team but the stakeholders. So and that's so in that sense creating a sort of little ecosystem within the large, let's say, pyramid organized structure, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. So we trained, I have some, it's in the use case, but we have a quality department, finance, legal, a lot of people, not only the Scrum team, and at different hierarchical levels. So it was very important. We did with the board members. And once the training was done, I mean, even before, but the training was, some of the comments I had from the people participating in the training were that it was great for them because they knew how to answer, how to decide in conformity with the Scrum. So this training was really something that helped a lot to them in doing this. So training, we then had not an issue, but we went through a lot of impediments. So one of the impediments, and I think it's a classical situation in many companies, is that they had a business backlog and a technical product backlog. So they had separated backlogs, which is a source of conflicts, confusion. We had trouble in tracking things.
Because if you really want to know what's going on, you have to merge different sources and so on. You sort of lack transparency. Actually, it's like you lack simplicity. It's like you say on the screen. It's because they introduce Scrum within the existing structures and departmental setups and so on. And then everybody says, yeah, we're going to follow the process. It says that we need to have a backlog. So everybody makes a backlog for their own work, which is often not a product backlog. Yeah, it's great that you worked with them on that.
Yeah. So we worked on that to raise transparency. Everything we are saying is something that happened in a lot of time. So it's quick to say, but it was very long to do. And sometimes I was calling Gunther and saying, okay, I think it's going too slow because I'm very impatient. I want to see things moving. So you need a lot of patience in this endeavor, and also celebrating the small successes is very important.
You're regularly stopping to look back at the small things you've done. All those little things also build up to a big thing. But I also remember, Fabio, what was really helpful also that within the CXO team or at the board, you did have the really explicit support of at least one board member.
Yes.
Who recognized the value of Scrum. And I think what I saw in his eyes sort of, this is how we worked when we were still a hands-on company.
Yes.
But I think that support was also really important, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had a strong support from at least one of the board members, really believing in Scrum. That's feedback I also had from people that were there 20 years ago. They said, okay, that's the way we were used to work, and then we added bureaucracy, we added rules and stuff, and we forgot how to build products probably. So I think it's true if we say that we help these kind of companies to become again startups. Sometimes is what I say. So the issue of that we had on the product backlog, separated by business, technical, etc. It's also reflecting in the accountabilities. One of the principles is having end-to-end accountabilities, and what was happening in this company is that we had flaccid. I would say flaccid. Not really clear accountabilities. And so it was like if everyone was responsible of something, but when you had to take a decision, no one was there to take a decision. That's why we need a product owner to have decision on the product and to move forward. You can move on the wrong direction is not an issue, but at least you move.
Yeah.
So
and
we work.
I believe there was quite a distance between, in general, sort of the product management, the sales, the marketing, the commercial departments, and then sort of development part. And it's sort of one of the gaps you needed to close with this message, right?
Yes, exactly. We had little, yeah, maybe I don't know if we can call it political fights, but yeah, you have departments that may have more power than others. But the issue is not having power. The issue is that they weren't able to deliver value to their final user. So we don't care a lot about power. We want to deliver. So yeah, let's say that the tendency in this company was to say, okay, we take care of this, just don't mind, forget about it, we do it. And they try to separate instead of unite, so, but we managed to do it. We worked with the human resource department. We created what I called product owner and Scrum Master accountabilities descriptions that were validated by the board of the members. Because it is funny, because even in the trainings, it seems that product owner and Scrum Master it is not intended as a job. Sometimes people gives, okay, from now on you are Scrum Master and you do it. You do this as an extra job of more that you are doing. So we described exactly what are the accountabilities of a Scrum Master and the accountability of a product owner. And
in that sense, by the way, that was beautiful, because you helped them see that it's more than just a title or a role name or whatever. It's not just a label that you put on something, but it has some clear accountability. So you helped them see that, and they sort of made it tangible by making up those descriptions with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So we've got a question here too, Fabio, that I think we're going to get to, but just to help reinforce. Philip asks, which structural changes did you foster during this step to reduce that distance between the CXO, or in this case, the CEO and the Scrum team? Were there things that you did to kind of bring them together in alignment? And what did that, there's another question I'm going to tie into it, I think makes sense. What did that initiative mean to the workers, the Scrum team who's actually doing the work?
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Eric. It's something that is, it's quite funny, because, like after 6 months that we were working, the CEO told me, okay, Fabio, you need to report to me about this transformation. And so I had a look to him and I said, okay, that's my opportunity. And I said, why don't you ask directly to the Scrum team? You don't need me. They are doing the work, so you don't need a messenger to know how it is going. So just ask them. And so we organized a workshop where the CEO and I think all the board members, most of the board members were there, and the Scrum team met. They met together. And they started to talk about what was so great about Scrum, and what were the impediments to full use of Scrum and full, being able to deliver value faster and reduce time to market. So I did nothing more than trying to,
connect them.
Yeah, connect and create the opportunity to reduce this distance. So for me, it is an evidence that people that are doing the work need to collaborate with all the company, even the CEO. And the very good, something I'm very proud of in this story is that it ended up with the CEO participating in the sprint reviews. So for those who doesn't know, sprint review is when the Scrum team is giving the increment of the product to the stakeholders, and they are waiting for a feedback on the use of the increment.
And that was obviously still building on the fact that we did have a few months or a half a year before that CXO workshop. So they knew it was happening. They were really interested. At least some people felt the urgency, and certainly the CEO was really, so you sort of could already build on that interest that he had already in the team. So it's great that you connected them.
Yeah. So they switched from this way of we have a report on cost, schedule, time, which because this was what they were used to do, and we managed to have the CEO in the sprint reviews, and we had several opportunities that were.
By the way, Fabio, you say that as if it's nothing. I'm pretty sure we've got more than 100 people on the call saying that. We just had the CEO in the sprint reviews. that is certainly not so obvious, but it's a great thing. So that's in the end what you want to achieve. So that was great.
Yeah. Were there dependencies on other teams, or was the product contained within a single team?
It was a very, very it was an important product with a small team. We had 4 people in the beginning and like 5 or 6 after a few months in the developers, and they had a dependency on the hardware part. The hardware part was the telephone was not was following how to say a waterfall methodology. So that was the dependency. They didn't have much issues about this dependency because the hardware was almost done. They had just a few issues to solve, but they didn't have blocking points.
Which in the end is also what you're talking about now, because the end-to-end accountabilities was not just the product owner and also describing clearly the Scrum Master accountability, but also making sure that you wanted that one product to be developed or sort of self-managed by that one team. So it wasn't split across multiple teams. That's again good thing by starting from product. So what you did, you helped them look for a product and then organize their Scrum or reimagine their Scrum to better serve that product.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So in between, because I did a lot of work that is written in the case study, we are not mentioning it, but in between, we created opportunities for people to have special moments where they could, step back from the day-to-day and come to a special place for 2 hours and talk about their Scrum experimentation, values, behavior, what was happening. So we created a space of, let's say, freedom where everything could be possible about Scrum, and people were starting to help each other. And another very good results that we had from this community of early adopters of Scrum was that they created by themselves, they had the idea and they created a presentation about how to start with Scrum in the company. And so people doing Scrum and people experimenting Scrum were helping other people in the company to start with Scrum. And this was much, much more powerful than me, an external person, talking about Scrum, because it was really internal persons talking about their success stories. So that's another very good point. what else we can say about this? Yeah, so safe environment for experimentation. You need to have really, people need to feel safe to speak and to, to trust each other. So we have the Scrum values in this. I did a lot of workshops on the Scrum values to restore trust all over the company. I think I were in Spain, Germany. I think, Gunther, you had few students also in I don't know if it was in Belgium or the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So we really try to spread this mindset to help move forward and understand Scrum. Okay, so this was about end-to-end accountabilities, and then the sashimi releases. Big struggle, big struggle here. We, in the end, when I left, we didn't manage to have these sashimi releases because of different reasons. The industrial way of selling and doing products was very present. So we had, we couldn't, for some persons, we couldn't sell the product because it wasn't finished. And we had really big issues in promoting this this way of working, and also making small releases. So I know that we had like more than 150 functionalities that weren't released. Just a few weeks because before I left, there was some selling ongoing. But the big impediment to Scrum is here was really the industrial mindset. So we want a product, completely finished product before we start selling it.
Yeah. So creating actually totally releasable increments.
Yes.
And not just some form of increment, something that was, yeah.
Exactly. So I had several ideas, even if I shouldn't, but I made some proposals because they had all the infrastructures to test new increments in-house. So I proposed to have some employees with the telephones and then use the employees as beta testers. And so one of the issues maybe that it is quite usually in companies is that we have to run, and very often we don't have time to settle and to find ideas to go behind what we are used to do. And so that's quite a pity. So we didn't really find the time to settle, to find a good person to sit around the table and to find solution to be able to make these sashimi releases. So this was something quite, failed, let's say.
Yeah,
but
because in the end there were a number of, let's say, what we would call development activities that needed to be done by people beyond the team, which the team wasn't authorized to do yet, and that all takes time to create awareness with those people and help them think in terms of releasable things and valuable rather than just doing more, but not being able to really release it. That's part of the sort of transforming the old mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the beginning you also said that the legacy was not just in their products. The legacy was also in the behavior, in the culture, in the mindset of people. And that's what this is about,
Yeah. So the next steps were really to have probably a cross-functional team, which mean to have also sales and marketing people in the Scrum team. Probably that's what would have helped. So we were focused on the quantity of functionalities and satisfying, we had a very performing Scrum team to release functionalities, but it was internal releases. So that's quite a pity because the Scrum team is really performing. So and then we step in the repeat let's say point, and that's a kind of funny point because at the moment in time during the experimentation there was a lot of excitement about Scrum. I had a hard time saying, okay, it's too early to start new initiatives. You still have a lot of impediments to remove. I think it's too early because you still are unable to do sashimi releases, so you may want to solve this before going into new initiatives. So they started to collect new initiatives. And in a way, in my opinion, a little bit too fast. So I understand that things must go fast, but sometimes you need time to learn. And in my opinion, until you are not able to deliver an increment regularly, small increments regularly, it is too early to start new initiatives. There's no rules, but that was my feeling during this experience.
So I've got another question tied to this. So Martina asks, so you talk a lot about sashimi releases here. How does what you describe as a sashimi release differ from continuous delivery?
Gunther, maybe.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it means something tasty, valuable for consumers. So moving from an old school waterfall-oriented organization, moving towards a frequent delivery of what we call tasty, valuable slices of product. Maybe the next step would be continuous delivery, where you might end up delivering every possible feature. On the other hand, what we've seen in large organizations like this, if they're able to release tasty, valuable slices of product, at least an increment, at least no later than by the end of a sprint of 2 or 3 weeks, and then including skills and expertise, like Fabio said, like product management people, salespeople, getting there more close, doing more development activities, all the testing, release, whatever activities within the team, that is a boost to such an organization's agility beyond imagination, and the ability to release every possible feature functionality as soon as it is ready might be even, and certainly for these types of consumers and customers and their markets, ministries, fire departments, police forces, military, and so on, might even be too much. So think about what is acceptable for your consumer base and so on. So, and that's what we call, often you could call those valuable slices of product, it's in general what we call in Scrum increments, but it just, from an end user perspective, there should be something that they can digest, that they can taste, that they can feel, that they can sense, and then potentially give feedback on.
So something really important that I think you said there is that word valuable. So continuous delivery doesn't necessarily mean that I'm continuously delivering value. And the focus that I'm hearing you talk about is that focus on the delivery of value, and how often you deliver that is going to vary, but you're going to focus to ensure that you're not just delivering for delivery's sake, but you're actually delivering valuable solutions out to customers. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that meant like closing the feedback loop, not necessarily with end users already, but at least with sales departments and so on, so that they were already knowing what was happening, what was going on, what was being done. Yeah. I like also the question, by the way, Fabio, maybe you can go into that, how to manage budget, and not in general, but what was the impact of this on the funding of initiatives?
Okay. No, the funding was not an issue, in the sense that it was a small, small group of people, it was a traditional funding. As you can see, many companies, let's say that they need to determine the budget for the next year. So they had an amount of budget for the year, and they needed to take care about this. But what we did is not having a look only to costs. We wanted to stress the fact that if you do sashimi releases, one of the good effects is that you start earning money earlier. So we tried with the salespeople to define a kind of subscriptions for early adopters with a lower price. So we think the team had discussion about this. Because the CFO was very interested in this, self-sustaining product. Because at the moment in time, if you start to do sashimi releases, you will have a self-sustaining product from a finance point of view, and you don't need to. You need always to think about budget, but. There's a question maybe that is also interesting because about sprint reviews. It is true that we couldn't do sashimi releases, but there was a huge evolution from in sprint reviews. In the beginning, we had just the Scrum team making sprint reviews between them. And after a few months, we had stakeholders in our sprint reviews, and we had telephones on the desks installed with the last increment, ready to be used by the internal stakeholders to provide feedback. So that's something really really great that the team did. And let's say that the person closest to the final user and to the customer was the, how do you call it, the account manager for each country. So we had account manager from Spain, Mexico, that were our clients, are waiting for final users or let's say real clients. Okay, so repeat. I lose. Okay, so then new initiatives were starting to pop up, they used the impediments that we removed with the some of the impediments that we removed with the first initiative, because the accountabilities descriptions were already existing. Human resources were aware of we had like an internal catalog of workshops and trainings. So we built a lot for the next initiatives.
And by the way, that's also the idea of what I've called reimagining Scrum, not running into those problems for like 100 whatever number of teams at the same time, but slowly transforming procedures, the way you deal with governance and then taking that to the next initiative, and then still looking for improvements. Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine all the problems because just to give people some idea, this didn't happen in 1 week, 1 month, not even in several months. It took you, Fabio, it took you several months to go through this, talk to HR, to talk to the salespeople, talk to the finance people, and so on, get them to see that for that one initiative. It's not feasible to do that for all teams, all products, all initiatives at the same time.
Exactly.
Sort of the idea.
Yeah, exactly. One example is that with the legal department, we had the discussion to modify the contracts, to be able to sell in an agile way these products. These discussions that we had just for this product was very helpful to define a model, a template, for the contract that then would be helpful for all the other agile initiatives. So that's just an example. You can work with quality department and lot of departments. And doing this work is also a way of breaking the silos and having people understand that to navigate complexity, they have to work together and to go behind the silos. Yeah. So, and the idea, what we presented to the board of the members and the CEO, etc., was that one possible state, future state of the company would be to have a constellation of products, like a constellation of startups in the company that delivers value to their customers.
Yeah. Which is also completely the idea of that reimagining Scrum, because you wanna create what you call an ecosystem around a product, and then do that for one product, maybe for the next product, and so on. And by then, iteratively, incrementally transform a pyramid structure into a network of what I call product hubs. So a hub of a product, having all of the skills and disciplines in the ecosystem. And then ideally for financial people, it will become a self-sustaining thing. It can grow, it can shrink, it can expand. And that's for me how transformations in a way should go. Because it's more like sort of the transformation itself is sort of what I call, remember that, implicit.
Yeah, exactly.
Most companies want to make it explicit. It's a change project. It's whatever. And what I liked, and not just to be clear about your role also, because I remember, Fabio, you working with that Scrum team in the beginning, and they were a little bit annoyed because it was sort of imposed on them, a management decision and so on. But you were able to, and that's huge. You were able to quickly, with your openness, you were able to show that, no, I'm not here to tell you how to work. This is about you. And I remember when I visited the company at some point in time with you, that those people said, oh my God, Gunther, we thought we were doing Scrum, but it wasn't even close to getting all of the benefits out of our Scrum. So in quite a short time, you show them that this is your work. So they found their motivation again, and so that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's also a lot of their merit because they were very open and they were eager to learn. Just an example, that they understood that they needed to put a timestamp in each new element that was coming in the product backlog, and they bought a little stamp because we had the physical post-its. It was the good old times where we were all physically close. And they bought a stamp to put the date in every new post-it so that they could calculate the cycle time, the lead time. And this is all their openness that did. I just put the spark and they did the rest. So yeah, I'm very proud of this team. So I think I can have an example. For example, for the definition of done. You remember we used this. We did.
I like that. I like. Can you just share that, Fabio? I remember I was in one of my classes at some point in time, and I remembered you working with this team on helping them improve their definition of done, because that was the idea of moving towards really creating releasable, let's say those sashimi releases, because there was a lot of work that they couldn't do. So I love this because this is how it works in practice on the floor with a team. So yeah, cool. Go ahead, share what you've done. It's great.
I took the idea of the visualization from Simon Radel, which is one of the PSTs in the community. So I didn't invent the stuff, but I found it very powerful. And very often the simplest thing that you can bring that gives transparency and that makes people think is the best one. So don't try to find complicated stuff. So what we did in the left, we had the collection. I previously worked with the quality department to understand all the tests and things that had to be done to be compliant with quality assurance, security, all this stuff. I collected this and I bring the empty poster plus the post-its to the team, and I said to them, please put in now all the things that you are doing actually today before delivering the increment. So they put the stuff in now. Then I asked, what would you like to put for the next? What would you like to do to improve your
to add to the definition of done?
Yeah, to add to the definition of done for the next few sprints. And then all the rest we put it outside, but keeping in mind that we wanted to add it to the definition of done. So, and in the right, we have the version a few months later, because it took time to add all this stuff. But it's a good example of how you can use the definition of done to have a releasable increment, to make it transparent, to inspect and adapt it every time you need it. Something that in practice, something that helped the team.
Yeah, and I love, because you sort of visualize, you also make transparent what is not yet in the definition of done, but what everybody knows that at some point in time it should be in there, because somebody has to do that work before you can deploy the software on a device that can be used by people. So and that's cool, because in that sense you lay a foundation of transparency upon which you can do inspection adaptation.
Exactly.
And then you help the team evolve towards the picture on the right-hand side, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which was not an easy task, but they did it, and I mean, it is a lot of hard work, and I think that this is something also the CEO understood. You cannot delegate Scrum to something else. To someone else, sorry. I'm often doing the example of if you want to run a marathon, you cannot hire a consultant to to run to train at your place. So you need to train because otherwise the day of the marathon you're not making it. So the same is for Scrum. It is hard work for the people that you cannot delegate, but it's very satisfactory. You can have a lot of satisfactions, and we had the people really. Most of companies' troubles today is to have engaged people, engaged employees. These guys were hyper engaged in the development of the product. So
And I remember also at that CXO workshop, that was also one of our core messages. Hey guys, we are not here. We cannot change your organization for you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can show you lots of possibilities, but in the end, it's you guys, and that's where you make the difference with sort of a lot of let's say traditional consultants or large consulting companies that come in with a plan, tell people how to do that. But that's a difficult message, because that reimagining Scrum, making it small again, that sounds obvious. It's an actually difficult message, because like you just said, Fabio, we run into the situation that management then wants to speed up again. They've seen the value, they've seen the ideas, and then they want to, and often they want to go faster than they can actually do. And that is actually a huge a challenge.
Yeah.
So I want to be conscious of time here. We're about at time, and I know we've got.
Okay.
I want to stick to the time box out of courtesy to our guests. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time today, and certainly for attending the event. We'll try to answer any questions. There were a few we didn't get to, so we'll do our best to answer those via email. And thank you again, Gunther and Fabio, for an incredible presentation. We had everybody staying on and listening and asking questions, making it interactive. So with that, thank you, everybody. Stay safe and have a great rest of your day.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.